Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Sandeep Walia, Head of the Department, University Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Management, Chandigarh University. Today, we are going to discuss the module Ticketing or Booking Procedures, Standby, Travel, Passenger Check-in, Cancellation and Delays, Pet Transport Policy and Special Meals under the paper Aviation Industry, Ticketing and Frontier Formalities. After the completion of this module, the students will be able to understand about the check-in procedures, about special meals and their relevance according to the travel. They will also come to know about the pet transport policy. The student will also understand the concept of standby travel of a passenger. Let us now start. Dear students, traveling by air is a common phenomenon nowadays. It is seen as one of the easiest mode of travel nowadays to reach to the targeted destination within a short span of time. However, this also involves different operations to be clubbed together for the smoother run. The business of aviation has involved certain complications also, as different services are to be clubbed together from different service providers. In this present module, we will discuss about some of the relevant procedures which we need to follow while undertaking a flight. The first one is check-in procedure. Dear students, this is perhaps the first step when we are supposed to start our journey through the air mode. The check-in or the embarkation procedure is very important to understand, as the process has 4 following steps if a passenger is flying within domestic boundaries, but if the passenger has an itinerary according to which the passenger is travelling outside the domestic boundaries, or to be accurate internationally, then the procedure includes 13 steps. The following steps include: first, the passenger enters into the airport building through the departures. There is a ticket and ID check for the passenger only. Secondly, the passenger baggage that has to be checked in is passed through the X-ray machine. Baggage security tag is either tied to the handle or the sticker is pasted on the baggage. Then the passenger heads towards check-in counter. Passenger hands over his ticket to the staff, places his baggage on the belt or the weighing machine. The counter staff then check in the passenger's tag or his or her baggage. They return the ticket with the boarding card, the baggage tabs and the embarkation and customs forms in case of an international travel or an international flight. In some cases, the passenger may have to pay excess baggage charge or allowance at the time of he or she is checked in if baggage is more than the free baggage excess or the free baggage allowance. In case of international travel, immigration check procedure are as follows. The passenger's passport, visa for the destination is checked in by the staff and the departure date is stamped on the passport. The passenger collects the embarkation form here from the staff. The following details has to be furnished in the embarkation form details. The details which have to be furnished in the embarkation form includes the following. The passenger has to furnish his or her name, the gender, whether the passenger travelling is male or the female. They have to place the date of birth there. They have to tell about the place of the birth. They also have to disclose the nationality, their passport number with the date, their passport number with the place of issue, the validity of the passport, and the permanent address from where the passenger belongs. They also have to fill the departure flight number, the destination where the flight is going or the passenger is intended to travel, the port of the embarkation, the signature of the passenger. And after these formalities, the passenger embarkation proceeds towards its further stages. The next stage is custom clearance for international passengers only, and this is not at all the airports. At first, the boarding card check-in is done manually or electronically by a barcode printed on the boarding card. After that, the baggage identification for the passengers. This is done mainly for the passengers from connecting flights or a routine check at few of the airports. The next is the security checks for passengers and hand baggage before entering into the waiting area. The passengers have to wait in the boarding lounge before embarkation on the aircraft. The second step is the boarding card check. The boarding card is split into two parts, and one is retained by the ground staff and the aircraft check-in point. Passengers board the aircraft and show their boarding to the cabin crew to guide them to the seats. This is the whole embarkation procedure which a passenger has to go through before boarding any flight. The next one is special meals. Dear students, just like the hotels, the aircraft has its own menu or catering system for its passengers so that they can enjoy the meal of their choice whenever they are traveling, for which they have an in-flight catering department to look into the needs of the passengers and to load the meals on board of a flight. The in-flight catering usually hands over the meals directly to the cabin crew according to the list of orders which they receive from the passenger which they book, or the order at the time of booking their tickets. The catering department, after receiving the order electronically or in some cases manually, prepares the meals on the same day of the travel so that it can be delivered fresh and healthy and safely to the passengers on board. These meals are generally delivered pre-packed in a container or a plate to ensure hygiene and safety of the food so that it will not harm the passenger's health. The next is the variety of the meals or meals varieties. Although the airlines have the choice for the passengers to place an order for their meal or meals, but they have a system of their own for what to serve and what not to serve, along with certain codes allotted to each category of meals. This is done to ensure safe and healthy food catering to the passenger so that they could eat according to their wish and healthy habits. Like the passengers suffering with a diabetic problem can have or order a diabetic meal, which is abbreviated as DBML in capital letters, in which food containing sugar and carbohydrates are avoided and foods which are offered are or can be lean meat, fish, vegetables or fresh fruits. Another example, we can take a child meal, which is abbreviated as CHML in capital letters, which is generally ordered for a child passenger on board, in which strong spices, big pieces and any gravy item is avoided and bite-sized pieces of food liked by children as they are easy to eat, nutritionally balanced is offered. Here we will discuss a list of special meals with the codes, and their description of content is as follows. In capital letters AVML, it stands for Asian or Indian meal which is given on request. The foods avoided are meat, poultry, fish, shellfish and eggs. It's an Indian style vegetarian meal. The next one is BBML in capital letters. Food for infant or baby meal which is ordered for infants. These are generally branded ready-made baby meals in jars or international feeds, for example, Gerber, Heinz, Cerelac, etc. on domestic flights. The next one is BLML in capital letters, that is bland meal, low residue fiber, ulcer diet given to passenger having chronic ulcer or gastrointestinal diseases. In this highly seasoned foods causing gastric discomfort like cabbage, onions, peppers, chili powder and beverages containing caffeine are avoided. Light, easily digestible dishes are steamed, boiled poultry, fish, lean meat, fruits, vegetables, rice and low-fat meals are included. The next one is CHML, child meal for children with bite-sized pieces of foods liked by children like burger, pasta and pizza are included and strong spices, big pieces and gravies are excluded. The next one is DBML. It stands for diabetic meal for diabetic passengers or passenger with pancreatic diseases, in which sugar and carbohydrates contents are avoided and food like lean meat, fish, vegetables and fresh fruits are included. The next one is GFML, that is gluten or starch-free meal for passengers having intestinal disease problems. In this meal, food avoided are flour with high amount of gluten, wheat, rye, oatmeal, fruits, vegetables, meat, fish, poultry products are included. Then the next category is HFML, which is abbreviated as high fiber meal for digestive liver disorders, which contains high dietary fiber like green leafy vegetables, whole grains, fruits, nuts, while refined flour is avoided. The next one is HNML in capital letters, that means Hindu meal containing non-veg Hindu meal cooked in Indian style, although beef or beef products are avoided. Then the next one is JAINML, JAINML. Jain meal basically a special on request vegetarian meal prepared for Jain people, excluding vegetarian meal with no root vegetables like onion, potato, ginger used and garlic. Also no pork and pork products and fish are avoided. Then the next is KSML, kosher meal, which is also an on request meal, contains food prepared following Jewish traditions and laws. The box containing the meal is sealed and can only be opened by the passenger himself. It is a meal in which scales and mollusks are avoided. The next one is KDML, Kadeshia or Kidwai meal, which is also prepared on request and is same as kosher meal. The next category is LCML, low calorie meal given to heart patients or overweight passengers, avoiding carbohydrates and contain high protein and fiber diet. Lentils, fresh fruits on request, fatty foods can be included and veg lean meat, fish and poultry products. The next is LFML, low fat meal for passengers suffering high blood cholesterol levels, heart diseases and carbohydrates containing food is avoided and high protein, fiber diet and poultry products are included in this type of meal. The next is LPML, low protein meal for passengers having kidney and liver disorders. In this meal, red meat, pulses, beans and cheese products are avoided, while lean meat, fresh fruits and vegetables, light carbohydrates like rice, potatoes are included. The next is LSML, low sodium or salt free meal for passengers having high blood pressure or kidney disorders. It contains food which is seasoned with herbs and spices only, and salt seasoning is avoided in such type of meals. Then the next is MOML, Muslim meal prepared on request and according to the Muslim or Shariat traditions or laws. Only halal meat is used, and alcohols and pork products are avoided in such type of meal. The next one is NLML, non-lactose meal for passengers who are allergic to milk or milk products. Meals avoids any milk or milk products, and soya milk or other beverages are used as a substitute in the food preparation. NSML, no salt meal containing no salted food prepared on request. The next one is ORML, which is Oriental meal prepared on request. It is food cooked in Oriental style like Chinese or Japanese. Then PRML, that is low purine meal for passengers with high blood uric level, offal, gilbits, smoked or gout sufferers are avoided, while fresh milk products, legumes and pulses are included. The next is RVML, raw vegetarian meal prepared on request, which contains all fresh fruits and vegetables, milk, cottage cheese and all cooked food is avoided. The next one is SFML, that is seafood meal on request, meals with seafood served as appetizers or main course. Then the next one is SPML, special meal on request with food made according to individual's medical requirement or choice. Then the next one is STVGML, that is strict vegetarian meal on request. Basically, it's a Brahmin meal prepared without the use of onions and garlic and with all other vegetarian stuff. Then the next one is VEGANML, vegan meal on request meal containing fruits and vegetables, nuts and pulses, avoiding non-veg and milk products. The next one is VLML, that is veg lacto meal on request, meals with veg meal or dairy products while avoiding meat, fish, poultry and eggs. The next one is VGML, that is vegetarian meal on request prepared in any style like Chinese, Indian, etc., which excludes meats, eggs and fish. These are some of the assigned codes for meal used or delivered on board in an airline by the catering department. Dear students, let us now discuss about the pet transport policy in an airline. You know, millions of animals travel abroad these days from aircraft or through air transport service. Airline personnel make every effort to offer the care, and all efforts should be taken to provide the utmost care that these four-legged human friends deserve. Each airline has its own transport policy. All we need to do as passengers is to notify the airline about the travel plan of our pets. One can even carry the pet in an aircraft cabin, of course, only if the airlines permit. There is also a condition that the pet carrier used should be airlines approved and should easily fix itself below the seat, which is facing the passenger. The Animal Welfare Plan Act and its regulations exclude the carry-on pets, but still the airlines has to do an exercise of ensuring that the pet can easily take a turn inside its carrier, that too when it is standing comfortably. Larger pets are also allowed to be carried in an airlines, albeit as a part of checked-in baggage, but every airlines will not provide such a service. One of the conditions to be met there is that the passenger or the owner of the animal has to be an adult and should travel on the same flight on which the pet is ferried. In case the animal is huge, unlike a dog or cat of normal size, or if the animal is traveling without the owner, then in such a case the animal is accepted as a part of cargo and is manifested in the cargo department. The details of carriage have to be confirmed from the cargo department of the respective airlines. Sometimes people become very anxious hearing that the pet will be traveling as a cargo piece. There is no need to worry at all, as even while traveling as a cargo, the animals are kept in pressurized cabins, temperature controlled, well oxygenated, similar to the passenger cabins. Most of the airlines have an animal welfare officer or the specialist with the airlines who is an expert in the movement of their animals. They have a vast experience in veterinary care and their movements. Some of the following criteria for pet transport are discussed here. There are certain questions like what is the optimum age for pet transportation? And the answer is, as per the IATA, the International Air Transport Association, the animal which has to be transported has to be of minimum 8 weeks of age and should also have weaned fully, after which can travel on the airlines. In certain airlines, the age limitation is fixed at 15 months. Most of these are traveling on international routes. Higher ages are better for pet to travel, as more the attained age, the higher the chances of well developed respiratory systems and more ease and comfort of the animal. Now one can ask that, is there like easier flights when it comes to our pets? And the answer is, flights which have a scheduled, which has no stoppages and is direct and does not stop anywhere, seems to go better with the animals. It is also advisable that the animals should not be booked on the holidays or weekends. If journey could be postponed or postponed, then also temperature extremes should be avoided. Too much heat or cold, moisture, humidity is always dangerous. Sometimes we often think that how to determine the health of a pet for travel purpose. The veterinarian is the best person to check on the health of a pet who need to undertake a travel. There are certain natural disadvantages to animals which have snub nose because they may have issues in breathing. They are bulldogs, pugs, boxers, etc. The solution to such an issue is to get a larger crate than the one required. The airlines should be informed well in advance about the breed of the pet, as such breeds are very often not permitted on an airline. 10 or 7 days in advance of the journey, one should get an airline's veterinary health certificate, as this is mandatory in many airlines. The use of tranquilizers. Sedating an animal through the use of tranquilizers are not promoted or supported by animal lovers. That too at high altitudes and conditions like traveling, especially by air. Sedation and use of tranquilizer should be left entirely up to the veterinarian. Sometimes we ask that, do you have the right crate? So students, in this regard, an animal needs to be transported in the right size of the crate. So one should make sure to have the right size of crate before purchasing one for their pet before they have to travel. There is one another common question like how to acclimatize the pet to the crate. A good time before the trip, the crate should be introduced to the pet. First, start using the bottom part of the kennel. The crate should be introduced after the dog or pet is too tired after an activity and feels like resting. They will lie in their crate, walk, sniff, play around. To make it easy for them, leave certain objects like their old toys, old socks, their bedding inside the crate, so make them feel a sense of belongingness and familiarity. Once the pet is used to the bottom part of the kennel, introduce the second half too, but make sure you do not close the door except in the nights. Keep repeating this till this becomes its second home. Once the comfort of the pet is noticed, your pet is all set to have its flight with you or maybe all alone too. Dear students, let us now discuss about standby passenger. In the airlines parlance, standby passenger scenario happen when a PAX flies on a particular flight without having an advance reservation on that flight. There are two conditions that can yield a standby passenger and make him or her fly. The first scenario may be that a PAX travels as a standby on the next available flight following the same route and taking the passenger to the same destination, of course not booked for the new flight. The second scenario is more as per passenger's wish when he or she reports to the airport much before the stipulated time, maybe knowingly or unknowingly, and agrees to take a flight prior to his or her reserved flight. In such a case, on this early flight passenger will be considered as a travel standby on this current flight. This passenger is also called as go-show passenger in the travel parlance. Upgrades can also give birth to standby. Frequent flyers, elite members, CIPs, VIPs get a free upgrade if there is space available in high classes. Such packs are often handed their new upgraded boarding passes at the boarding gates itself, identity tickets or employee tickets, and their companions often fly as standby. These passengers are allowed to board once the commercial fare paying passengers are cleared. Often, last-minute ticket issues by agents also fly as standby passengers. The passenger reaches the airport and agent talks to the local staff at the airport that helps the passenger to take a standby travel. Those who cannot make it into this flight automatically get transferred to the standby list of another flight or to the next flight. There is a priority also in the standby travel. Passengers paying full fare are preferred over non-full fare or discounted fare. Those having elite frequent flyer membership enjoy a priority over those who have lower status in frequent flyer membership. Dear students, let us now summarize what we have discussed and learned in this module. The business of aviation is very complex as various services are to be clubbed together to provide a memorable flying experience to the passengers. In short, we can say that the aviation or the airlines industry is a network or web of series of operations where each department has its importance and protocol which they have to follow so that they can operate in a right manner and can provide a high standard of service to their passengers. With these words, I sum up the module. Thank you.